Great. Well, obviously, thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate it. So my name's David Hall, Managing Director of Cloudy, and we're joined here by our sort of crack team from Cloudy and Decisions, who are assisting councils throughout England and Wales with helping them make their meetings more effective, really. Steve, do you want to sort of introduce yourself and say hello?
Yeah, hi, good morning. Also, I head up the local government services here at Cloudy. I'm a local councillor myself. I've been a chair for many years of my local council as well. And yeah, really excited about this product and really excited about the work that we're doing with clerks and officers. And we look forward to showing you more of the package this morning.
Great, thanks, Steve. And I'm just going across the screen as I sit. So Mia, do you want to say hello?
Yes, thanks, David. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Mia Legner, and I am the main contact person for Cloudy IT from Decisions. So we've been working closely together for the past almost 2 years now, helping councils know about their solution, onboard them, and I do most of the day-to-day communications, commercial aspects, and marketing together with Cloudy.
Thanks, Mia. And yeah, Gabriella.
Good morning. Yes, I also work for Decisions, and I've been supporting Cloudy now for just over a year. In my role, I support Steve with trainings or more complex use cases, product feedback, and all of that. So I'd be more on the technical side of things.
Brilliant. Thanks, Gabriella. So yeah, so we're really proud to work with Decisions. They're a Norwegian company, and we're based obviously here, Cloudy, in England, just outside Milton Keynes. And it's a fantastic product, but we work very closely together to make sure that this product works really well for English and Welsh councils. We know that the use cases for councils is quite different from, say, a business, and they have quite sort of aspects of a meeting that need to be done and run in detail, and that's where we've worked really hard with the team to make it work for the councils, and we'll run through that a bit later. So we've also got our guest Karen as well. We'll introduce Karen properly in a second. She's going to talk a bit about what she's doing at Thetford Town Council, her role, and how Decisions assist her. So we've got a decision hour session now. We're going to obviously introduce Karen as well, and then we're going to talk a bit about our web presence app, which is a bit of software that allows you to push your agenda onto your website and your minutes as well. But Decisions is a great product. It obviously covers end-to-end the assistance you've run in your meetings, producing agendas, the minutes, the tasks, and it's all Microsoft as well, which is kind of Cloudy's philosophy, really. We keep things simple, keep it in one cloud, keep it low cost, super integrated, and Decisions sort of fits in with that ethos here at Cloudy. And Steve's going to do a nice walkthrough of it as well. So you might have some questions that come through. If you could put them in the chat, please, that'd be fantastic. And then we'll do a nice Q&A session at the end. You'll probably find that Steve might cover it anyway when he runs through it, but do put it in the chat anyway, and we'll loop back and cover that. I might not be here for the end of the session, but Steve's going to run it right through the whole session as well. So right, let's just go on to what Decisions is. So Decisions is a piece of software that sits on Microsoft 365 that assists you with creating agendas, distributing your agendas, and creating the minutes and doing your tasks and actions. So it's incredibly fast to create an agenda with Decisions. It's very visual as well, and Steve's going to run through that in a second. But because it's based on Microsoft, it's integrated into Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, and you have that ability to communicate and collaborate with your colleagues very quickly to prepare that agenda. We've had some incredible feedback of, sort of clerks in different locations turned on their laptop and really being quite coordinated and effective and efficient with their colleagues in different locations, just to collaboratively work together to prepare those agendas for the councillors. So it helps you to prepare your meetings. It helps you to meet as well. The colleagues in Wales are using Decisions to not just create their meetings, but also run their meetings over Teams remotely. And we've had some really good wins where councillors have used devices and they can view the agenda, be part of the meeting. We put AV equipment into the council chamber. It's not super expensive. Our OWL lab device is under £1,000, so it's a pretty cost-effective piece of kit, and it broadcasts the whole room. But when you combine this all together, you've got a really good interactive meeting where any participant, whether they're in the room or remote, can play a really important role and really track that agenda without the need to print it off and to be part of that as well. So it helps you to run your meetings, whether they're remote or in person, and then finally to manage all of the tasks off the back of that meeting as well. So, you know, whether you've got, you know, your task to finish lists and everything else, Steve will go through this in a second. It's really efficient at doing that. And we could ask, I suppose, Karen a bit in a second, how she's found that. So I'm just going to go on to the next slide here. So, so Karen, thanks so much for joining us. I'm just going to spotlight you as well so everyone can see you a bit better as well, so you can come up for everyone. Yeah, Karen, if you want to just introduce yourself quickly. Steve, do you mind stopping to sharing the screen just so we can see Karen full screen, if that's all right? There we go. Yeah, so perfect. There we go, Karen. So Karen, if you just want to introduce yourself quickly and just say what you do at Thetford Town Council, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I am the committee clerk of Thetford Town Council. I've only actually been in that role since last May. And so I've only done it about 18 months. We introduced decisions in September, which was obviously, you know, very tech heavy for an old lady like me. But I have to say, we initially trialled it in a planning, because we had 16 councillors and now we've got 18. And we were running 8 committee meetings a month plus full council. So it is quite process driven, the role. So when we introduced decisions, I was taught obviously how to set up an agenda on decisions, attach any attachments to those agendas, release those. I call it releasing the agenda. I like that better than it's been published. And then during the meeting, I then use the meeting notes to make notes of any questions and feedback, etc., and what all the councillors and members of the public say. And that's on my notes. And then after the meeting, I then go and do the actual minutes of that meeting. And you link your notes to the agenda. And that way, everything you've scribbled, it's personal to you. No one else can read your notes. That's all private. So that goes across and that comes across onto my minutes. And then I obviously then edit it to put in what I need to put in, because obviously sometimes I'm typing away like a crazy lady and just putting people's comments and what have you. That is not what ends up in my final minutes, but it's just so that I get the gist of and remembering what's been said. The meetings also get recorded as well, so we all went through Teams, so we can always listen back if I miss something or, you know, something needs clarifying, because clearly, you know, minutes of committee meetings is crucial for you know, correctness and legality. And then, like I say, then I'll produce my minutes. And then once I've done that, I send it to the chair of the committee, who reads them through and then says whether anything, you know, whether it's correct or whether they want any changes. The town clerk has to then see their minutes before they get presented at full council on a monthly basis. And then eventually, we haven't done this stage yet on decisions, but eventually they will be like kind of closed off completely on decisions. But we haven't, because we've only been doing it a short while, and there's been a few hiccups where I have to now go back and change some minutes, you know, little bits like add on policies and what have you. So we haven't actually like finalised them as per decisions. They have been finalised by committees and chairs.
And Karen, just a quick question. What were the challenges before decisions went in? I mean, I'm sure a lot of the clerks on the call and anyone else who've been involved in the sector knows there are some challenges. Every council probably has slightly different ones. But what are the challenges at Thetford, would you say?
It was the fact that I mean, at the moment, we are still sending it out by email. We send everything. So I send it all by email. I use what I call the tag on Teams. I send it the agenda plus attachments through decisions. I also put it on our website, and I also use Outlook Calendar. So I set up a meeting on the calendar, and then I attach any attachments and update as I go along. So at the moment, in all honesty, we are doing all of that. We know that we don't have to do all of that at the moment, and then with future training, with decisions, we won't. But right now, I have this like 6-point system where I know once I've done all these 6 steps for everything, I've done my job, and there is no way anyone's going to miss anything. There was the clerk before me was a little bit aged. He was 80 when he left. So
Wow.
everyone's going, oh, you got 20 years to go yet? So I don't think so. I don't want to do this for another 20 years.
You got big
it was
shoes to
just,
fill there.
yeah. But it was just the fact that he wouldn't have been able to cope with this technology, and it was seen that I was the better person to take this on. But I think it's just the fact that councillors, and anyone can say, you know, I didn't get the email. You know, that's or we're being swamped with emails. So they go both ways. But you know, when like recently when they couldn't access decisions because they need the training on how to access it, they've all got different devices, David. So
we know we were there for the training, weren't we? Yeah.
So at the moment, that is a challenge for them, not me. But it's the fact that I'm confident, you know, once they get on it, you know, they'll see the benefits.
Of course, and we did hear from the councillors at Thetford. There were frustrations before decisions about, you know, lots of traffic, lots of emails, accessing agendas and accessing supporting documentation quickly, and you know, there's a bit of a mixture of abilities and devices like at any council, I suppose, at Thetford. And we you know, you're one of our earlier ones we put onto decisions, and you've had some staff changes since we did that as well, with you coming on board. And you know, you've done a lot by yourself, Karen, which we're really impressed about, and you've taken it so far. But we're looping back right now, aren't we, and doing some more training, intense training for you and the councillors to get you back up to speed and really sort of drive that adoption and see those benefits, which you know are there, but we just need to sort of flesh them out a bit, don't we, and work a bit closer with you, which is what we're doing really well at the moment. So Karen, if it's okay, if you're okay to stay a bit longer at the end, and if anyone's got any questions for you, that would be fantastic. And that'd be really good. But Karen, we'll thank you so much. We'll loop you back in a second. Steve's demonstration is going to take about half an hour, so that should leave some time at the end for yourself as well. It's an interesting one with decisions. We've been working very hard with the last couple of years with decisions to really get those effective deployments with councils. It's a very fine-tuned thing we go through, and we've got a lot of supporting documentation and freebies we offer out now once we've deployed you. So regular training sessions online for staff, for councillors, as well as a sort of a whole approach as well. So there's a lot that goes into it as well. But let's move on to the actual presentation, which I think is the most important bit, the demonstration itself. So let's just move through the presentation now. Are you in control of that, Steve, or am I?
You need to take control again.
I'll take control. There we go. Cool. Okay, so just before we start, we do have an app called Web Presence that does allow you to publish your agendas and minutes to your website automatically. So another time-saving aspect of decisions that's important. We're just trying to save you time across the board. And then, you know, this is one of the features, well, which Steve, if he has time, can sort of signpost to where the website is, and you can have a look around and see how that looks. But it doesn't just manage your agendas and your minutes, but also it looks after your councillor information, your committees as well. So it's a nice little app you can control from Microsoft, put your details in, and it puts it straight on your website as well. So that's really quite nice. So Steve, I suppose we're going to go into a demonstration now, which is really going to be really good, where you're just going to walk through end to end the process to create a meeting, run the meeting, add all the supporting papers, you know, send that off to the councillors, and then run the session, take the minutes, and upload it afterwards, isn't it? So are you going to show what it looks like from a councillor's perspective as well? Have you got the Web Present, the Decisions app on your PC, Steve, or do we just to sort of stay for that bit just to show what that looks like once you publish it?
I've got all of those up and ready to sort of show in and drag across. So hopefully it all should be well.
Good. Okay. Well, listen, Steve, I'll let you take over at this stage, and I'll be back in the background as well. But I'll leave Steve to run through the demonstration now. Cheers, Steve.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Karen, as well. That was really nice to have you speaking. I'm sure there might be some questions for you at the end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll run through a typical meeting process. And I think this, Karen, this will be very, very familiar to you. So I hope I do it right. So we've got a meeting coming up today. So for those of you that use Outlook to book in meetings, or those of you that use Teams to book in meetings, the process is exactly the same. So what we will say is that it is a planning meeting, and then we can invite some people into this meeting. So I'm going to say that the clerk is going to come, John Smith, and who else we have? Mark Davis, and we'll have the deputy clerk as well. So we've invited some people in. So again, this is exactly the same as it would be normally. Well, let's have it at a reasonable time of the day to avoid people being a bit upset that we're working into the evening. And then what we need to do is to put a location in. So we're going to say that this is in the town hall. So this is all you need to do. So for those of you that maybe invite councillors to the meeting by sending them just an email and you don't use the calendar, or you use the calendar yourselves, this is a really, really important step, because decisions will use a lot of this information to build the meeting paperwork and the other information that it uses. So once we're at this stage here, I've got everybody, I've got the times, I've got the location, we send that meeting invite out, and that will go out to everybody. And as we can see, the event's been created and an email has arrived for me. So if I look at the clerk's inbox, I can see here that there is a planning meeting, and there is a conflict, of course, which there always will be. So there we go. We have all of that extra information in there now. So, you know, our next steps, clerks as officers, is to produce an agenda for that meeting, and that's where we step away and come into the Teams environment. So as we can see here, decisions is pinned. So when we do the setup, we create a certain team structure, and we can see here democratic services with all of the committees. So I could go to planning and then go in via here, or I could come via the decisions D on here, and this will show me like up and coming meetings that I have coming on. We can see here there is a planning meeting. So at the moment there's no agenda, there's no information, the councillors have no information, and the only people that can work on this at the moment are the clerk and deputy clerk. One of the strengths of decisions is multiple officers can work on it together in real time. David's on site today at MKU providing support for our students, but one of the really good things to demonstrate is if you have a clerk and a deputy clerk, or a clerk and an assistant or an officer, you can work on any draft agenda together at the same time, and in real time you will see where others have made changes to it. Again, talking of draft agendas, many councils and clerks that I speak to have a template copy in Word of their agenda, and they cut and paste between them, which is, you know, fantastic and really works well. What decisions adds to that is your ability to do as many draft agendas as you want. So I could do all of the planning meetings, the finance meetings, the full council meetings. I could start to build all of the draft agendas up now. If I have items that I know that maybe budgetary is always in September, October, precept setting is December, maybe the annual meeting in May, I can get all of them done in advance and ready in my draft mode. So if someone comes to me and says, or a councillor comes and says, oh, could you remember in March we want to discuss something, I could add that into my draft March agenda, and they're all ready. So as I step through, the different icons that we can see here will tell you what stage you are at. So making an agenda, we could do it this way. I'm going to go and put it into my planning folder, and this will know where everything is located. I could start with a blank agenda, and I could start filling it in and put in the first item and some details. Or again, where it's really, really clever, I've got some templates that you have made. So you may have a list of standing items for full council and every committee, or your standing items may be all the same. You can set them up here. You can have personal templates. So here I have a senior leadership team meeting template that I can use internally for meeting with people. You may have an HR one for appraisals. You could have all of those as personal templates that aren't used by anybody else. Team ones you can have, so here I can have for finance or for planning, and then I've got ones that are available for everybody. And very cleverly, I can look at all of my previous planning meetings as well. So I might want to look at last month's agenda and think, oh, I'll use that, or the months before, or I could start with my base one. So I'll take my base one. This will give me an idea of what I have on it. And I've got all my details on here. That's fine. I'll start off with a draft agenda because only I and anyone that I've allowed to work with me can see it. And we can work on this now quite happily. We can go down and check all of the items. I can see that the date here, I might, let's update that. We'll bring that forward to, or what are we today? The 20 something. Let's say the 27th of October. We'll bring it through to there. All my next meetings I've got. And then what I'm going to do, as David mentioned, we're going to put some documents on. So here's some I prepared earlier, and I can look at these and pick from them what I want to put in. So I want to put this agenda item from the planning committee. I want that in there. And let's say that there were some draft minutes. I'll put them in there for now. So I've dragged and dropped them into this document. We're at a draft stage. Like I say, it's only shared with us, and these are the people that have been invited to it. So this, and Karen, this will be quite familiar with you now. This is when we get ready to do the meeting book, the agenda pack that we want to get ready to send out. Again, Decisions makes that really, really easy. We get to choose our meeting book. It renames everything for you, which is another wonderful shortcut. You don't have to keep thinking, oh, what meeting am I doing? What date was that meeting for? It will do it all for you. It opens up Word, as David was saying earlier on. It's got really, really tight integration with Microsoft 365. So you don't have to save a file somewhere, reopen it and copy it. It will do it itself for you. We'll turn on Decisions into here. It's seen all of our agenda items that we've got. I click Next. It will fill in all of the details in here that I need ready for me. So who it's going to, the circulation list. It's filled in all the details at the top here. So to the members of Democratic Services, but that might say the planning committee or the town council or the parish council. Again, all of this is customizable to work as you work. We've got our date when it's been issued, obviously where the meeting's on today, and where it is. So those bits I was saying earlier on about when we create the invite to make sure you include all of that information, that's where it gets put into here. It will now give me the opportunity to put this all together into one PDF. So again, a lot of you may use Adobe or you may use Microsoft's print to PDF functionality to build yourself a document. This saves some extra steps. And I can go and look at my finished product now. I can see all of my items are in here nicely, and there's all of my reports neatly put down at the end of the document, and I can come back up to the top of the agenda, working my way through each item, and then, like I say, I have my reports. So that bit's been done for me. I can come out of that now, and it's now said, okay, where's it going to? Well, I'm going to send it to everybody that's coming to the meeting, and I can add in external people as well. So you may have district or borough or unitary councillors that might want a copy of planning because they would be very, very interested as a principal authority. You could include them. You may have, as Karen was saying, she has a process for putting it up on her website. You may not manage your website or yourselves, and you may have someone else who wants a copy of this information to put on the website. You could include them, and a small note you could put in here this month's agenda, and then that's done. So that's been emailed off to everybody now, and everybody has a copy of it. And in Decisions, what we've got here is that information. Our tile has appeared to show that that is ready, and at this point we basically publish that agenda to all of the members. So all of those that have been invited, it will now ask me, how do I want to send this to people? Well, as Karen was saying earlier on, a lot of people still like to get it via email, and councillors may say, please email me. I can do that. I can put it in the Teams channel. I can update the meeting invitation with a summary of the agenda, and I can include a note as well. Hello. And I will notify everybody like that. So it's sent it to the 5 recipients. It's told me that it's done it. And if I pop back into Teams now, and I go over to the planning committee, in here we will notice the planning meeting has been published today by the clerk. So we can see that here, who it's gone to. There's a link to the agenda. And if I come back round and look at my emails, we can see here the planning meeting book has been made available, the status of the meeting is available, and then 2 council meetings. So this is the meeting invite that went out to everybody, has now been updated, including a summary of that agenda. So again, it's doing a lot of hard work for you, where, you know, as everybody says, well, I never saw an invite to a meeting, I never received an email telling me that there was a meeting. It covers so many ways of letting members know about the information that I would receive this and thought, oh, great, yep, I'm going to that. I can then go and view the agenda from here just by clicking on it, and it will take me in to this view. And again, Decisions has been intelligent. There's 1 guest attendee, so someone who is not normally a member of planning, maybe standing in for someone, or who's a guest. Do I want to give them access? Well, yes, I do. And that's done for you in the background. It's this extra intelligence that it brings into the meeting process. So we've got to that stage. I don't know if there's any questions at this stage. I haven't seen much pop up in chat. I'm just having a very, very quick look. No, there's only David dropping off. So we've got ourselves now meeting, what I would call meeting ready. So we're turning up on the day, and Karen was mentioning earlier on, it takes minutes at a rate of knots. So again, Decisions makes this part of the process really, really easy. So these notes are your notes. They're private notes, only available to you. If you choose to share them, say, with a deputy clerk or an assistant clerk or a committee clerk like Karen is, you are able to do that using the standard parts of 365. There's a really, really good option. And in there, I shall log in as the clerk. And here we are. So here is our planning meeting, all of the details of our planning meeting. And I shall just drag this out to make it a bit easier to see if I can. There we go. And obviously we can see all previous meetings. So again, you've got some previous references in here. What we can now do is do the minutes. Now, again, some of you might write the minutes on a notepad, take them home, write up the Word document. Some may watch the recording. There are many, many ways of doing that. And again, this is down to how you operate. So you could record the meeting, make some notes, go home, open Decisions, and then put your minute lines in. And again, depending on the speed at which you type, you could keep up in either real time during the meeting. So we'll use that as an example. As we work our way through here, I will just put in a minute if you imagine we're working through the live meeting. One of the benefits of Decisions, and this is a really, really clever bit, once you've published the meeting, you're able to make minute notes. And this is one of the things that I think any clerk on this will know. You could probably, for 60, 70, 80% of the minutes, already know the minute line that's going to be in. So we know that the welcome from the committee chairman welcomed everybody to the meeting. We know the apologies for absence will either be none or apologies were received from. So you could pre-can some responses in here ready to go on the head of the meeting. So if we got there and there was no declarations of interest and there was just a line that said none, you could leave that done. So the little bits of time saving that you can do in here. So we've come to the end of the meeting. The chair has closed the meeting. We close our notes that we've made. And what happens in here, we see all these yellow boxes have appeared to say that it's captured that information. You can, if you're confident that you've captured everything in one go, you could then go and build the minutes right now and get that out to members, or you could watch maybe the recording or the transcript or go through your notes. So here's our minute template. We're going to fill in some details on that. We've simplified this one for purposes of demonstration. I'm going to get the details of the notes and the agenda, and let's say that Mark wasn't able to make that meeting. We click the button down the bottom and it has filled in all of the details, including all of those minute lines that we had put in. So that's really, really good. So we could send that, we could go through that. We could just, a quick check with the spell check and make sure nothing was spelt right. Because it's at this Word document, it is possible now that you think to yourself, oh, I might want to adjust the spacing on something. You could do a lot at this now because it's not set in stone. It is at that Word stage. And as Karen was saying, if she's noticed any errors or any random omissions, it is possible to fix them at this stage, because again, this is still in its pre-draft stage. So what we can do with decisions is send it for review. Now, Karen said she sent it to the clerk for review. A clerk, you may send it to your chair for review. You might have a councillor, the chair of the committee, for review. Decisions allows you to do that. So I could say in my example here that the clerk and John Smith, who was the committee chair, would like to look at it. I could leave a note in here saying this is a draft version, please look. They receive this Word version of it. So they will get that. They could go in and they might make a note and say, oh, this date was wrong, or that's not right. You can do that correction. Everybody comes back and says, we're happy. All of the information on here is correct. We could then finalize it. Again, dropping out of Word into Adobe or having it a plugin on the toolbar, Decisions has PDF'd it for you in one click and offered to send it to everybody who would be needing to get that now. And I will accept its choices. That's emailed everybody, and that is the end-to-end. I close, but you can see here Decisions has locked the meeting to say that I've gone through the entire process all the way along. I've created my PDFs, and we've probably heard some dinging. There's an option to review the minutes, and there is my final minutes. So they are ready for distribution. Now, you could use Decision to distribute them, or you could download the PDF, write these are the unapproved minutes and send the PDF out. You can print them off. You can do so much with that additional information from within Decisions. And again, one of its strengths is its joined up method of working. I think I'm doing quite well on time. I'm just saying I'm doing all right on time. I'll show you a couple of other clever bits if I may. So what I'm going to do is go back a little bit in time, and we'll take the PDF and the Word minutes out, and we'll go back into the minutes. So let's look at this now and say during the public question time, this is a minute line. What we could say is a member of the public has asked something that the planning, or let's get it from planning notices are available online, which is perfectly reasonable. There should be no reason why they shouldn't be able to go and see a copy of them online. So I'll put that in there as an action. So it's something to do, and I'll highlight that. And then we'll go on to date of next meeting. And again in here, I spelled this right. There was a decision to resolve to move the December meeting to the 18th. But we'll do that. We'll say that if we've done that, and I'll bold and do that. So I put all that information in the minutes, and I've caught them back up. I'll come back out of the minutes now, and we'll go to build them again, exactly what we're doing. It says there's a previous minute, which is good. It reminds me that I'm not breaking some live minutes that I've already done. We'll go back into our meeting manager. like we were doing. And again, we'll choose to locate the agenda item and we'll get my notes. It's also kindly remembered that Mark Davis wasn't there, which is a really, really useful feature. So what it will do now, it will go through, it's put everything in like it had, and it's added in my actions. So depending on your terminology, tasks, actions, however you want to do it, and the decision to move that December meeting to the 18th. So I could go up in here and I can move that to the 18th of December, and that's all done. The very, very clever bit, and this bit I really like, there's a sync button here. If I press that sync button, it's noticed I've made a decision. So yeah, I like that. And it's added a task in here. So it's got, oh, look, you know, this is something that you want to do. I will save both of those. And what that will do is, you'll notice now if I scroll down, it's made them a link. So it's made that action a link and it's made that decision a link. So I publish these like I would normally do. If I now come out and look at my decision list, there's a decision we've made to resolve to move the December meeting, and that's captured that from within the minutes. And again, the same with my tasks. If I now go and look at those tasks in Excel, and again, I haven't had to come and get Excel and find the file, it's logged my planning meeting. And we can see here on the 26th, if I highlight that line for everybody, I'll put a bit of yellow on that the planning notices are available online. And that's captured all of that in my action list or my work list. Now, again, some really, really clever bits. I can click that, and I don't know any of those that are with you who use Planner. It takes me round to Planner. Now, that might be something that the deputy clerk does. So I'm going to assign that to the deputy clerk, and by the date of the next meeting, well, let's come through into November and say, oh, at the next meeting, could you give me an update on this? That's been assigned to the deputy clerk now to do. Now, the deputy clerk could receive this and say, oh, I wonder what this relates to. There's another link in here, and that would take that to the exact part of the agenda where that information was requested. And we can see on here there is a task, and clicking that task will show that additional information. So that's one of the really, really smart parts of decisions, where it begins to join up all of these 360 programs that everybody has got. It starts to make really, really good use of them. So those now are tracked in here. So as I come down, I can see my tasks and I can see my decisions. So if you wanted a record of decisions made, you have that available. Really handy for those of you that have a Welsh council, because of course you have to publish a list of decisions made. That is one of the really, really useful parts of this. And that really is decisions end to end. So what I think I'll do, I'll leave that up on the screen and ask, you know, are there any questions at this point at all that anyone would like me to sort of pop back over? I'm conscious that we're doing all right on time, actually. So if there's anything extra that you want me to go back at or maybe look at and clarify, or you know, if you're after something that, you know, maybe some input from Karen, who is a user of decisions, I think this might be a good point to do it if anyone's got any. That's quite pleasing. It's nice that it seems to have gone quite well. So what I will do is I will stop sharing my screen and we'll go back to the presentation. So if you just give me a second, we'll get that back up on the screen and we'll have a bit of a walkthrough. So yeah, as we can see in here, we've got, I'll just work that slide forward. Let's just get on here. So agenda creation, again, it does everything that you're used to doing. You can move items backwards and forwards between agendas. So if you've got quite a busy agenda for a month and you think to yourself, oh, we're not going to get all those topics done, it's really, really easy with a couple of clicks to move that to a future agenda. Even if you've got all of the details, you've assigned some presenters, you've added some supporting documents, it will move it all backwards and forwards for you, which is really, really good. We saw obviously using Planner and Excel, and tasks as well in the minutes. You can do all of this from within the decisions package itself. You don't have to keep a separate track of them. That task list, as we saw, it is possible to include that at the end of an agenda or the end of the minutes, so that you could say this is the council's action list. So you've got the list of the minuted items, and then you have your action list embedded in that document at the end as well for reference. So that's really, really good. And again, as we saw, it uses OneNote to take all of the minutes, and it puts all of that together really, really quickly for you. There's a lot of the interconnections between those 365 programs are really, really tight, and it takes a lot of, you know, the effort out of using OneNote and Planner. There may be other items that you've not, and as we showed here, that action list can be included quite easily within other documents. That Excel list can be printed off and shared with some other people as well, which is again really, really useful. So what I'll do, I'll probably skip forward a slide and we'll look at Q&A. So at this point, are there any questions from anyone present at all that they may wish to ask while we're here at all together? No, that's really, I think, Gabriella and Mia, that we're really, really lucky this month that we're not inundated with questions. And I think Karen's really lucky as well that she's not been bombarded. So what does it cost? Oh, sorry.
I must just say though, when I did my introduction to you all, I didn't actually say that we do make use of that task list. What we tend to do, or I tend to do, is so during the meeting, someone might say, oh, this is an action point. So I obviously specifically type action point so that it reminds me. And what we tend to do is I type up the minutes, just for any other clerks that are listening. So I type up the actual minutes, I put them through one of my managers and the chair. And then what happens is if they, because obviously I might think it's an action point, but they might not. So you might have it, because I've got 3 managers who all work differently. So some of them will say, oh, yes, we agree that's an action point, or they might say, no, we don't think it's an action point. So what I then do is I go back onto decisions, onto my minutes, and that's when, once they've all said they've agreed that they're action points, and then I go back and put them in as tasks. And I then, because obviously I don't know how soon people are going to get a job done, so I have to kind of just go, oh, if I suggest that you'll have it done by the next committee meeting, you know, got a month to do. So that's how we kind of work it, everybody. And what we found was when we weren't using decisions, action points started to slip through the net, and so there was staff not doing what was talked about, because there were so many meetings and so many, you know, obviously you get lots of chat on top of the actual meeting, so things slip through the net, everybody. So us going back to, yes, we're still going to do an old physical write in the word action point. We're still going to do a table with action points in the actual minutes that the chair signs, but we are also using the planner so that they get it on Excel to say you need to do this, and when it's completed, everybody, it actually says it's completed. So job's a good one.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, exactly. A wonderful example of where using things that you've got, and we all know, you know, everyone has tasks, and if there's a lot of email about it, you know, that can get quite noisy, and you do tend to drop the odd task. You think, I'm sure I read something about that, and you don't know which piece of information or which route that information came into you. Decisions does help in keeping that all together. And as you know, the package evolves, additional functionality is added in, and again, it's always for the benefit of the end user. There's always new features that go into it, and you think that's really useful that it can do that now. So I'll pop back a slide. So, you know, what does it cost? We've got 4 packages basically. So the basic package is for clerks. That allows you to do everything we saw today. There are some bits that aren't in the clerks package because they're not necessary, and councillors would receive just a standard PDF. So you gain all of the benefits of the automation and the functionality inside decisions, but it's for up to 3 users. So if there's a clerk and a deputy clerk, or a clerk and an assistant, or in Karen's case, you know, a committee clerk and a clerk and a deputy clerk, you all have access to it. The councillors would receive the PDF like normal, or a printout. It supports both ways, but you get all of the automation, all of the special features of decisions. And then based on your council size, we basically have small, medium and large. So whichever size you fit into, that is the cost per annum to have decisions. There's a bit of setup involved in some training, but that again varies on your council size and which package you take. So those that have the clerks package, there's a clerks training, there's a setup. Setup's the same for all of them, basically. And once you've got the system, there would be training for clerks and officers. And then we do a members training package as well. That can either be remote, like we all are now, or we can do it in person. Again, councils are free to do that, and you are able to move up package sizes. So as Karen said earlier on, you know, their council grew by a couple of councillors, so they would have been in the small council package to start with, and then would have needed to move up to the medium council package when their council grew. That's absolutely possible. So, you know, if you're teetering on 15 and you think I might get an extra, you can move up a tier there. Setup wise and training and everything varies again on the council and the officers. We tend to break the training down into sort of 3 chunks. We do the agenda, making the meeting, getting the agenda together and getting the agenda out. We then do the in-meeting experience, and then with minute taking and getting the minutes out. And then we have a separate session with my colleague Ryan, and that covers the use, as Karen has highlighted, of Planner, of Excel, of tasks, and how you do all of the follow-ups in your 365 environment. And again, you know, from an officer's side of this, you get a massive benefit. Once you start to move into the councillors packages and they have the council app installed, where they're then able to interact with the documents, they're able to annotate their own meeting books. So if you've got councillor issued iPads or something similar, they can receive the meeting book, they can make their annotated notes on their own personal meeting book and recall those during the meeting. So there's some really, really clever features in that. So if you're just dipping your toe, you can start on the basic package. And if you've got some councillors that are a bit interested in, you know, having a go and seeing how the app works, you're then able to do that from just by stepping up a tier. So I should just move along. So are there any questions sort of at that stage at all? Does anyone want to, anything that anyone wants to ask? I'm happy to answer. I think we're doing all right. Oh, Phil. Yes. Hi, Phil. Good morning to you.
We can't let you go, can we, without asking you some questions?
Oh, well, no, I thought we'd get away with it this week. Karen's so pleased.
I mean, I think some of them you've probably covered. In the agenda layout, you mentioned customizable. So the template that you showed in the box and things, that could be completely based on whatever agenda we use. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've got some standard ones. I've worked really closely with Gabriella on this. So we have some standard look and feels which do fit a lot of example agendas and minutes that we've been sent. They get top and tailed. So your top and tail for the documents, we make a reasonably good facsimile of. If you wanted advanced customization beyond what comes out of the box, that is available as an option. Okay. But we've got some really, really good examples, Gabriella, haven't we, of most layouts that we've seen. And most councils' layouts are within sight of each other in how they've got them set up. And again, all of the ones that we do, we've made them as accessible as possible. They pass a lot of the accessibility checks in how they're formatted, font choice, layout choice, and so forth. So if you've got part of the onboarding, we ask for a lot of information from a council, including a sample minute and the sample agenda document in Word, so that we can look at that and say to you, right, this is a pretty good, fit for what we've got, or you may require some custom modification to get it to look exactly like that. But again, but it might be a chance to make a few tweaks to your existing agenda and minute documents, maybe to give them a fresh lick of paint for the new year. We have found with some councils, I think Karen's, their agendas and minutes post decisions look very different to the early ones, so they're far more structured. It gave them an opportunity to rejig them a bit to get them, I suppose the word, a bit more modern looking. So it is possible, yes, Bill.
Okay. The other one was, you mentioned web presence. Is that a separate piece of software that's outside of what you've priced there?
So web presence comes separately. We are doing a bit of a deal on it at the moment. So what web presence allows you to do, let me share my screen. I hope that everybody can see this. So web presence is an app that we've written. So Decisions doesn't natively publish to the web or do anything like that, although you can extract from it all of the PDF documents, so the PDF meeting book and reports pack and the PDF agenda and the PDF minutes, and put them on the website. We've written a program that does all of that for you, which will interrogate all of the meetings that you have. It runs in Teams. So as part of our team setup, we produce an admin channel that is just for officers, so members can't go in here and mess everything up for you. And what this allows you to do is go by committee and pick any one that you've had, and it will go and look at all the meetings in that particular channel, and then any extra meetings that have got agendas that it finds, it can then put them into here and capture them ready, and you are able to confirm attendance of those that have attended, add minutes separately to them, set the start time, add a meeting summary. So you can do quite a lot in the app, and then it is literally a one-touch publish, and that will put that onto your website. Now we use a frame that pops in that you can either have separately or you can embed into your website. So here's our Cloudy Council one. So our agenda page is made up on here, and we can see all of the meetings that have gone on, and we're able to click and go into that meeting and have a look at any information that is in here. I can look at councillors that belong to that council. I can look at the individual committees, and I can jump in and have a look at them, and then I can go back and look at the corresponding meetings. And if there is an agenda published, there's the PDF version of it there that we can go and have a look at. So the app itself is separate, and what we do, like I said, we've got a couple of offers on at the moment with councils that are taking that, and that takes a lot of the hard work out of web publishing. If you've not got an existing method or you're doing it quite manually, this adds a little bit of automation to it, just to save some time. Works really well, and you can use as much of it or as little of it as you want. We've got there all the committees and the members and their attendance on it. You don't need to use that. If you just want to incorporate the meetings, it will just have the meetings tab, and then your meetings, your agenda and your minutes and so forth, and that's all done in the background. So it's beyond the basic package, but again, we've made it optional for people because I speak to quite a lot of clerks. They have a very robust process for publishing stuff on their websites. It goes through an accessibility check, a legal check to make sure that they've not released anything beyond what they should. All this. So again, depending on your processes, this may not be something you require now, or you might think, you know what, that's quite handy. That takes a couple of steps out of what we do now, and we can automate it. And again, you can always take them come back out, you can highlight ones, and there's an option to remove that meeting from the website at the same time. So if you did publish something inadvertently, you can undo that. So I just turn that off. So yeah, and again, it's a separate process to decisions. It works beyond it.
Thank you. Just a final question. So I don't mean to hog it all.
No.
One of the things that my overall view is there's a hell of a lot going on here. A lot going on. And one of the things that sort of worries me from our perspective is that Teams is something that we've had for some time now, but we only use it for meetings, as in, you know, online meetings.
Like we are now, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So none of the other functionality we've actually used. And I keep getting in the neck from my wife, who works for Devon Social Services, and they, like you were showing, everything they do is via Teams. And this, Karen might be able to answer this. I mean, how big a deal is it for us to learn how to work through Teams rather than using all these? We use all the apps there, if you like, but completely separately. So when we have a set of minutes, we create them in Word, and then we publish them to PDF, and then we say, so it's all done. Let's just, as you said, with the website, it's all done manually at the moment. How quickly would we be able to sort of get our head around all those processes you just showed us in that very short walkthrough?
Well, Karen's going to have to answer that, I'm afraid.
Well, to be honest, when COVID hit, Thetford Town Council did not close down. Thetford Town Council kept going, so we embraced Teams, and we were all issued with either laptops or tablets. So for me, Teams is like, well, I've been using Teams since, like I say, since COVID. And it is ever so easy to just, click and join meetings and, do all this, put up the cameras and the microphones and record the meetings that you can then listen back to. And it's, with decisions now, that's a different part of the programme, but it all links in, like the guys have said. It's the agenda to your note making, to your minutes. At the moment, I should say, so when I do my minutes on decisions, I save them to SharePoint. So I save them to SharePoint because I can't have everybody, excuse the phrase, interfering with my minutes. So I can't have all the team that has the accessibility to change my minutes. So as a committee clerk, I save them onto SharePoint, and then I send them out by email just to the chair and then just to the town clerk. So I'm aware decisions can do all this extra sharing, but we obviously we can't have absolutely everything shared with everybody all the time.
Thank you, Karen.
Can I just add something here? Whereas it's true that decision sits in Teams, it can also be used as a web browser, and you can actually choose only a couple of features related to Teams to use. So you're not obliged to post in the Teams channel. You're not obliged to interact with Teams as such unless you absolutely want to. The back end of it is still SharePoint, so you are still accessing it, let's say, indirectly. You might not even realize it is there. So I would say that to train or teach basic functionality, it's not a monumental task, even for somebody who's not particularly tech savvy. I think a process can be put in place with specific tasks and steps that can be used by anyone without having extensive knowledge of Teams.
Yeah, and while Gabriella was just speaking, that's the web app version of decisions that makes no use of it's outside of Teams. If you think Teams is a very pretty front end to lots of Microsoft technologies that they currently have. Decision sits within that and obeys a lot of the rules that Microsoft had laid down for that. But like we saw with Word and Excel and OneNote, they can all appear out of it and then back, backwards and forwards, without you having to separately open those apps. Phil, as you were saying, you have to go to get the file, open Word, save it, PDF it. Decisions doesn't alter that. It just enhances that process without you having to think, I saved that to a folder somewhere and I now need to go and find it. And I've got everything called minute.doc somewhere. This helps you with that. And again, you have, as Gabriella mentioned, you have absolute control over that sharing of that information. So if you have the more locked down clerks package, you can keep that absolutely separate from members. So the members only involvement is they receive a calendar invite and then they receive a PDF of the meeting book. They then receive a PDF of the draft minutes and a PDF of the final minutes if you do it that way. You can control that side of it completely yourselves. And that's one of the wonderful parts of Decisions. It's very, very flexible and it works as you work. So you can slowly start to, if you can imagine, you can slowly start to transition over how you work with it from the, how you are, the very manual way, to a more automated way. And as Karen was saying, they've had it a year or so now, and they're shifting bits in as they're comfortable, as they're happy, they're moving them over into Decisions. And again, everybody's journey is different. And what we like to think of here, here at Cloudy and with our, our really good friends at Decisions is we sort of sit alongside you and offer any assistance or guidance as you go. And there may be bits you think I'm really struggling understanding or getting this to we can, that's where we can assist you with and maybe show you some alternative ways of doing that with the package. Well, I'm mega conscious.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil, for your questions. I'm conscious we sneaked slightly over 12 o'clock, so I'm conscious that a lot of people are probably clock watching and getting ready to go off now. But are there any other questions at this stage? No? Well, all I can say is thank you very much to everybody for joining us today. Obviously, we have our regular decisions hours. There's a decision surgery for officers and members that we also run. And of course, at the upcoming ALC events and national events, you'll always find us there. A note for those of you that are attending practitioners next year, we will be there with our what we call digital experience room, where we will be showcasing Decisions and other remote meeting technology items like the owl and so forth. And we will be joined by Gabriella and Mia as well, who will be with us demonstrating all of this in real time, so that for those that are coming, I know it's only a couple of months away now, you'll be able to get proper hands-on with this and explore all of its functionality and the ways that it can help your council. Right, I'd like to say thank you.